I want to thank everyone for coming today. We are so excited to be partnering up with the Young Women's Preparatory Network. We're very excited about that. Women Leading Technology was started back in 2019, and we're so excited to be able to give back to young ladies. One thing that we want to do is make sure that we are reaching back and providing a circle of service for these young ladies. And so one of the things that I want everyone to recognize is that we are servant leaders, and being a part of this particular circle is amazing because you have an opportunity to reach back and give back to some young ladies who are very deserving. And we want to make sure that we are providing them what they need. So unbelievable. And I am going to pass it over to Natalie. And Natalie, to Lynn, excuse me. I'm going to pass it over to Lynn. My internet is acting crazy. But I'm going to pass it over to Lynn and let Lynn give you an introduction about Young Women's Preparatory Network. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, so much. Well, we are so excited to be here tonight, and we're thrilled that you have chosen to share this night with us. I wanted to start off by telling you a little bit about Young Women's Preparatory Network, or YWPN, the largest network of public all-girls college preparatory schools in the nation. Our first school, the Irma Ron Young Women's Leadership School, was founded 18 years ago here in Dallas, Texas. Today, we have 9 schools across Texas, including 2 more in Grand Prairie and Fort Worth that are local. And then other schools across the state are Lubbock, Austin, San Antonio, Midland, Houston, and Ysleta. A little bit about the girls who come to our schools are largely from low-income households, and in about 25% of the cases of girls, their parents did not complete high school. So if you believe the statistics, our girls aren't supposed to graduate from high school, much less think about college. Yet, the model we have employed creates a much different outcome with 100% high school graduation and 100% college acceptance since our founding. Plus, our alumni graduate from college at 3 times the national average for students from high poverty high schools. So how is this accomplished? We provide our girls with a top-notch education that prepares them for college and for STEM-related fields like all you wonderful women in technology. Our model includes rigorous coursework, college-level coursework, APs, college admissions advising, which is critical to our organization, a counselor that is solely focused on college admissions, just as a support system that gives students the confidence to pursue the college major and career path of her choice. And tonight, you're going to meet one of our wonderful college advisors, Ann Morano, at the Irma Ron Health School later in the program. And then confidence building experiences. Our students excel in STEM fields because we are all girls classrooms. YWPN ensures that all girls are not only academically, but also socially and emotionally prepared, thanks to our college readiness, our leadership development, communication, empathy, and wellness programs. All of this, of course, wouldn't be possible without public-private partnerships and wonderful private investors as the Women in Technology. Our students exceed in academic expectations, and it proves that all students, regardless of their background, can achieve whatever they want to in life. So we're really honored to be here tonight. Kelly, really appreciate this opportunity, and looking forward to hearing the panels.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for that, Lynn. Once again, we are very excited to partner with the Young Women's Preparatory Network. We're all about Women Leading Technology is all about making sure that we get more young ladies involved into the STEM and STEAM disciplines. And teaming up with this school was just a perfect marriage, as I like to say, because they're all about sisterhood the way that we're all about sisterhood. And most importantly, they are focused on bringing more young ladies into STEM and STEAM as well. And so we're very excited about that and excited about the partnership, and hope that you all We are so excited about this upcoming event and this upcoming discussion. And this event is going to be absolutely amazing. I want you to understand that it's going to be amazing. It's going to be phenomenal. We are going to provide some great insight from our panelists. And so I want to start by introducing our moderator. She is so phenomenal. That is Miss Shanthi Rajam, and she is the founding
Good evening, everyone. I think Kelly continues to have internet issues. So let me take over from here. Thank you so much, Young Ladies Preparatory Network and Women Leading Technology. This is a great opportunity for me to moderate this panel. I'm really excited because you cannot ask for a better timing than this week, especially when we had new women vice president being elected. That opens up hope for so many young women and rest of us that we have a new path to choose from. At the same time, the panel that we have right now, I'm excited about it, and I would like to start introducing that. Before that, I wanted to also share that in many organizations, or not just organizations, in community and society, we have real problem talking about differences or diversity. We are conditioned to believe that difference is bad or that different causes conflicts. In the contrary, I think intentional disregard of differences is what causes discord. So these kind of panel discussions are something that excite me because they help us get one step closer about talking about these challenges and how we can overcome that together. Now, without much ado, let me go back and start introducing each panelist. And when I call your name, could you please switch on your camera and microphone and share a liner or two that you would like the audience to remember you with. Let me start with Fanny Dunnigan. I have heard her speak multiple times, very empowering person. She is a LinkedIn video content creator and CEO of Pathlinks.
Thank you, Shanti. Thank you for having me on this panel. I'm super excited to be here. I'm kind of the entrepreneur turned corporate turned or engineer turned corporate turned entrepreneur. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Welcome, Fanny. The next person I would like to invite is Tamika Cass. She is the Chief Development Officer at the Dallas nonprofit Wings.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I look forward to this conversation, and my contribution tonight for this conversation is how the nonprofit sector is having to rely more heavily on technology as we have to work remotely due to the global pandemic. So looking forward to the conversation and glad to be here. Thank you.
Welcome, Tamika. Next online is Vibha Chatwal. I have known her for quite some time. We have been moving in similar circles. She is a manager of the network sales engineering team at Fujitsu Network Communication.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thanks for including me in the panel. Let me share some quick, even and odd tidbits about myself. Even would be, I have 2 master's degrees, one in business, one in computer science, and I have 4 patents in network protocol. What's odd about me is I've changed 3 different roles within Fujitsu, and I've had 7 bosses in my 13 very lucky years at Fujitsu. So go figure. And one fun fact about me is on a personal note, I'm mom to a very feisty, entertaining 6-year-old little girl myself. And my own mom growing up did not want me to be a computer engineer because she thought I'd turn out to be weird and no one would marry me. But I guess I turned out all right on all those fronts. And for that reason, I feel it's very personal to me, and I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you, Vibha. And I would like to introduce the youngest of all, Keela Evans. She is a senior chemical engineering student from Washington University in St. Louis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kayla Evans. I am very excited to be here tonight to have this panel with y'all. Quick fun fact about me, I was actually a competitive gymnast for 11 years, nationally ranked, and I would say that is where a lot of my dedication and work ethic comes from, is that gymnastics foundation. And so that's played a significant role into where I've gotten so far and where I continue to go.
Welcome, Keela. Nice meeting you. Veronica Unikrishnan, she just won the Women in Technology Award this year. I'm very excited to have her as a panelist. You won't see too many C-level executive, especially in cybersecurity and information security, coming especially as a woman as well as Hispanic background. So Veronica, I'm very excited to have you on this panel. Veronica Unikrishnan, Chief Operating Officer at 5Q Cyber.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Super excited to be here. Diversity just runs in my blood and also in my family. I have a little United Nations at home. My husband is from India. I am originally from Mexico, and my son was born in Colorado Springs here in the United States. So to me, the topic of diversity is super important, and especially how we can help our young generation to feel that they are so empowered they can do anything they want. So thank you, Shanti.
Welcome, Veronica. Last but not the least, I have Ali Ani. She's the Managing Director of Women Leading Technology. I'm really excited to hear her perspective today.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here. And what I want you to know most about me is I have spent over 25 years in consulting, delivering IT technology in over 90 countries and 20 languages. So I have spent my career thirsty for diverse talent to add value to my team. So this is a conversation I am so passionate about. And I believe it changes not only the quality of what we deliver, but also the products we produce. So I am thrilled to be here.
Thank you, Ali. So without wasting any more time, let me jump to the first question. Understanding that you're all fully committed to supporting young women in STEM, what do diversity, inclusion, and equity look like for each of you in your organization or in your community, or whichever group you are with? Let's start with Viva first, and Keela, I would like you to go next.
Okay, absolutely. I was going to say we've talked about diversity and inclusion in general a lot for the past 5 years, right? And I'm sure and hope by now most of us understand the need of it and why it matters. But let me summarize it, right? For once, whether it's moral fairness or business and fiduciary implications of it, or customer interactions, or designing innovative solutions, or simply embracing the fact that it's the smart thing and the right thing to do, right? But having said that, I personally don't think the needle has moved, even though we've been discussing for so many years, needle has moved substantially, whether it be for key leadership or expertise role, even though there are women being considered for those roles, or more importantly, I believe for the pipeline of talent graduating from undergrad engineering STEM degrees and entering the workforce. I was, in just kind of researching a little bit for this, I was looking at National Center for Educational Statistics. And this year, the report said there are only 23% of workforce, which is STEM. And then within that, female engineers in particular, only a dismal 13%. So that to me as a computer engineer who's higher sales engineers is pretty disturbing. And I think that's what I think of diversity. I think over the past few years, we've admired it, we've identified it, we've valued it, but I think it's really time to move the needle as well. And then when it comes to inclusion, I actually wanted to do a little quick exercise with the panelists or the attendees. So maybe if I can ask you guys to join your hands, kind of like that. I'm waiting. And then see which of your thumbs comes on the top. Is it the left thumb or the right thumb for you guys? Well, I guess thumb to the left. Okay, so for me, it's the left. And how about we kind of take it back and do the opposite? So if it was left first and right to the top. So how does that feel? Does it feel a little uncomfortable, a little unsettling? Well, I guess the point there was that's what it feels like if you have something unnatural, something different, and you don't include that individual. And to me, I think in COVID times, this has become a lot more important than even diversity to a certain extent, because I think this is our chance to demonstrate diverse opinion and diverse perspectives, and not just tolerate them, but actually value them. There's a big difference, and it shows. And I think that's where I would just urge each and every one of our leaders to think about it this way and do whatever it takes to include, especially our kind of leading women caretakers, and accommodate their different needs, their different schedules, and then listen in.
Thank you, Viva. Keela, how about you?
Yeah, Viva, that was great, spot on. I completely agree. Moreover, just to touch on a little bit of what you were saying, I believe that diversity and inclusion means that not only does everyone have a seat at the table, but everyone's eating the same meal. Everyone's getting dessert. Everyone's getting all the nutrients and nourishment that they need to succeed. And I feel like in many situations, when a quota is met, it's like, okay, we're good, we're diverse, we got diverse people on our team. And it's like, wait, but are you really diverse? Are our coworkers, are the students, are they listening to everyone when they speak? Does everyone have a chance to even speak? Do women have a voice? Do minorities have a voice? Are ideas and perspectives being considered for everyone? I think all that is important. And it's not just about the numbers to make the company or the school look good. It's also about what the students are experiencing within the school and within the company. And so I feel like diversity and inclusion is also fulfilled when these people in higher positions are also diverse. People making those decisions, people hiring people. Having a diverse team doesn't just mean having a diverse team of people who are staying stagnant in the workplace and have no upward mobility. I believe that once people are in those higher positions, that's like one of the first questions that I ask about a company as I'm doing this job search, being a senior. That's the first question I ask. I'm like, what is the leadership like? Is it diverse? I can see that you have diverse employees, but are these people up there making decisions, leading the company, being the face of the company? Are they women? Are they minorities? And so I would just like to close this by saying that while some of my experiences have not been the best, being a Black woman majoring in engineering, I will say that it has really given me the motivation to keep striving and to make change and make a difference and be that role model for little kids who look like me and want to have the same dreams and ambitions, because it has to start somewhere. So I would say that that's given me the motivation and drive to continue to just keep doing what I'm doing.
Thank you, Keela. I mean, what a great start. I heard Viva and then Keela, two different perspectives, but very interesting. Let me go to Fanny. Fanny, how about your perspective on this?
Yeah, if I may, I'd like to come at it from an entrepreneurship angle. I had a career as an engineer and business consultant, so I kind of came through the corporate rung, and then my biological clock started ticking, and I wanted to have babies, right? And that's our bodily functions as a female, right? And it was after that period that I got into entrepreneurship. And I think for me, I want to share that as far as diversity and inclusion, as an entrepreneur, I've made an effort to do business with diverse customers, do business and find vendors and suppliers and contractors that are from diverse and inclusive backgrounds. And I think that in itself, as well as encouraging other women to kind of leap into that kind of uncertain, uncomfortable world of entrepreneurship. Because at the same time, there's so much freedom in being able to kind of call your own shots, right? And do business with people that are different from me and attract clients that are different from me. And then I also have a show that I highlight different experts in technology and all kinds of different fields. And you have that freedom to really choose who you want to do business with and who you want to feature. So I think just to offer another angle at it is to also kind of explore that world of entrepreneurship and the freedom that it can bring to be able to exercise and do business with that kind of diversity.
Thank you, Fanny. It's so interesting. Vibha comes from like over a decade of corporate. Keela is getting into the workforce. And Fanny, you're switching from, I mean, it's a conscious decision, right? That's what you're trying to say. It doesn't happen just by itself. You have to consciously strive to have that kind of diversity, constantly work towards it. Tamika, you come from a totally different world from rest of us. And I would like to know what it is from your how is it in your industry?
Yes, thank you. I do come from a very different world. And as the three panelists were speaking before me, I thought back to my high school days. I thought back to when I was preparing for college, and I don't ever recall there being any kind of encouragement or discussion really about me as a young woman pursuing a career in science, technology, engineering, or anything like that. And so, not that I wasn't good in math and science. And so I feel like we've come a long way. And I would just have to add that for me, diversity and inclusion and equity really looks like representation from all individuals, including gender and racial backgrounds within an organization. I truly believe and have witnessed that when you have diversity and equity and inclusive environments, it really does allow you to tap into people's full potential. And so I believe that's important for any space, whether that's a workplace or it's a school. In the nonprofit sector, we are still making strides in the diversity, inclusion, and equity arena. I think there have been some very valuable programs and work done to help advance that. But there's still a lot of work to do. And I've experienced workplace environments that weren't very diverse, that were very difficult for specifically women of color to make those strides, as Kayla was mentioning, having a diverse workforce, but at the top, at the leadership level, not seeing that representation. And I'm fortunate enough right now in my current role as the Chief Development Officer at Wings to be in a leadership role where I can have a voice and help engage and encourage a more diverse and equitable and inclusive environment, especially one that represents the communities and the families that we serve. So I just think that long term, as I've looked at other environments, I really believe that diverse environments are more innovative. I think it allows us in leadership roles to make better decisions. And for equity, I do believe that equity is important because it helps promote justice and fairness, within procedures, processes, and distribution of resources within institutions and systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamika. That was a great insight.
Thank you.
Veronica, you come from, not just women in tech, women in cybersecurity. So I would like to learn from you your perspective on D&I and equity.
Thank you, Shanti. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit of a story here. When I was growing up, I didn't have necessarily a goal of what I wanted to become. My family, they were always very supportive about you be the best that you can be, no matter what career or what is your passion, just pursue it and we'll be supportive. So I always had that from them. And as I was growing up, and I'm gonna date myself a little bit here, but you know, it was when the Macs were introduced and computer science was new. And there was a new opportunity for me to learn something new. And nobody necessarily said that women were not invited to learn about it. So I invited myself and I learned computer science. I graduated an engineer. And as my career went by, I did find the struggles. I did find the sentiment of not being included. I felt also the sentiment of being invited. And so as my career went by, I thought, well, it's very unfortunate that somebody can feel this bad about achievement because you don't feel that you belong. And I don't think that that's fair. And I don't think that just because who I am, I don't have the same opportunities as everybody else. So I just kept on going with my career, and I kept having these different wounds. But what this made me is learn who I needed to be as a leader. And I promised myself that when I had the opportunity of becoming then the chief of an organization or somebody that can invite change, that I would do it with intention. And now I am here. I am at the point where I have the influence in the organization that I'm managing. I am the one that is having the conversations at the table when some people are not brave enough to have them. I'm the one that brings into the attention of not only the executive team, but also the management team of let's don't forget that everybody's voice and opinion counts, and that it's on us to make sure that nobody feels left out or uncomfortable. So we have now as leaders an obligation of ensuring that doesn't happen in our workforce or at home or in any space that we are surrounded by.
Yep. Yep. Thank you, Veronica. It's always top down. It has to trickle from top down. Ali, I would like to know your perspective on, represent both the corporate and the nonprofit as part of WLT. So I would like to know from your perspective.
And I've been an entrepreneur. So I ran my own consulting business in Dallas for many years. And you know what? So here's a slightly different perspective, because I think there's a lot of ways to meet an objective. And I think we spend a lot of time talking about diversity, but it's so theoretical to us. And I think we need to start building organizational cultures that really appreciate people with diverse experiences and backgrounds. And we have the luxury in the United States, if we really get diversity of experience, diversity of thought, diversity of background, if we really get those things in a group of people, you will never find a room of people who all look the same or went to the same university or majored in the same discipline. Right. So I think there's a real opportunity to start embracing different ways of thinking, different ways of operating. And I think that builds the skills that so many of our organizations are struggling with, that little discomfort with the hands, right? Diversity is tough, right? Multiple backgrounds is tough, and you have to have the muscle set to work through just those slight disagreements, the skills to create alignment, to realign conversations, to refocus conversations on the real objectives, you know, and the ability to park things, but also escalate them when necessary. Hey, we need leadership to address this. So I think there are a lot of ways to look at diversity, but I would encourage us not just to line up a group of people and hope that they look different. We want them through and through to be different, to add value in different ways. So I think that's what I'm excited about, kind of taking that perspective. And I think it also calls leaders and just regular people and employees in their job, frankly, to be better people, to have more empathy and more consideration. And I think we're at a spot right now where we could all use a little more of that.
Yep, I agree. That was a great start. Thank you, ladies. This is, let's take a quick break, and I would like to bring on camera Berta Ferguson, and she's the Chief Academic and Accountability Officer at YWPN, and Addison Alexander, she's a 2020 graduate from our Margaret Talkington Young Women's Leadership School in Lubbock. She is currently attending Xavier's University of Louisiana and is majoring in biology, pre-med. Could you please turn your, yes, I'll let you ladies take it from here.
Thank you, Shanti, and good evening, everyone. What rich conversation. This is really incredible. And as Ali talked to us about value add, I can't, stress enough how wonderful these girls that we get to work with every day can contribute to that. I'm here to tell you about academic programming and enhancement opportunities that are such an essential part of our College Success Initiative. YWPN makes a dedicated investment in supporting teachers and students for the challenges that arise from navigating through a challenging, high-performing, and competitive learning environment. Because of the programs that we offer, students who attend YWPN schools receive a quality academic foundation and develop leadership and self-advocacy skills. The college preparatory experiences provided through our efforts are varied and focused on developing well-rounded, college-ready young women leaders. Our girls have access to academic curriculum that includes pre-AP and AP classes, as well as dual credit and dual enrollment. YWPN supports a variety of STEAM-focused programs and courses, and we provide teachers with a menu of professional development options to enhance their skills as teachers in an all-girls learning environment. There is a college-bound advisor on every campus, and we offer both campus-specific and network-wide year-round enhancement opportunities for girls to engage in. But most importantly, each of our schools has a very defined systems of support in place so that all students can excel and reach their academic potential and pursue their college dreams. With me today is a former student and exceptional young woman, Miss Addison Alexander. As you heard, she is a 2020 graduate and soon to be a sophomore at Xavier University in Louisiana. She's pursuing a double major in biology, pre-med, and Spanish. Hi, Addison. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, everyone.
So Addison, will you share with our audience some of the most impactful, memorable, or extraordinary experiences that you had as a student in a YWPN school? Some that perhaps you would not have had at a traditional school. Some, those experiences that have impacted you and made you the exceptional student you are today.
Of course. First off, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Mrs. Ferguson. But I'm immensely grateful for the academic programming and enhancement opportunities that the YWPN has provided me. Because of it, like stated before, I am here today as a biology pre-med Spanish double major, something that would not have happened without the YWPN. Beginning in the 6th grade, I've been exposed to college preparatory, pre-AP, AP courses, dual credit courses that have taught me many skills that are very vital that I use in the university every day, such as time management, prioritizing, public speaking skills, leadership skills. I'm extremely grateful for such exposure because I know that without that, I would not be 2 steps ahead in the classroom. I would not have entered my freshman year with over 40 credit hours. And I feel prepared and I love my learning experience here at Xavier University. Additionally, YWPN has provided many camps and workshops that I would not have had I not been attending Margaret Talkington School for Young Women Leaders or any of other of our sister schools. For example, I attended Science is a Girl Thing, Junction, and many other STEM-focused camps where we were encouraged to pursue small interests in science, and it has grown into my love for and my passion for the STEM field and medical field. Also, I've attended the Hockaday camp where I've been able to network with my sister schools and create friendships that have lasted for years. I obviously don't want to spend too much time talking, but one of my favorite memories is being able to attend the Girls Symposium where I was able to meet Michelle Obama herself. And talk with her mentoring me and our sister schools. So there have been many opportunities that the YWPN has provided for me, and I'm extremely grateful for it. I'm very grateful for the investment that it's had for me and my sister schools.
Thank you, Addison. And thank you to everyone in attendance for giving us the opportunity to showcase our work. As you can see, through our public-private partnerships, YWPN is affecting educational outcomes for young women throughout the state. We appreciate you, we appreciate this opportunity, and we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Berta, and thank you, Ferguson. Let me have all the panelists back again. The next question would be, considering this current experiences of young women pursuing STEM professions and those entering STEM fields, do they feel adequately supported? So that's the question. I would like you guys to pick things up from what has worked for you, what has not worked for you, or anyone that you know, and how can they be served better? What do we need to do more of that may be not getting to them? And what is your perspective of giving back? So I'll start with Fanny on this, and we'll move to other people.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing in getting into STEM was at the beginning, we don't know what we don't know. I want to share really quick a personal story in that when I was in high school, this female engineer came to our school and talked about a career in education in engineering. And it wasn't until she stood up there in my high school library talking about this field of engineering that I even knew that it existed. And so I think a big part of all this is awareness, right? I think the more that we have forums like this, the more that we all speak up and share our stories and share our journeys, the more that people can see, women can see what's possible, girls can see what's possible. I always kind of like to think of it as we almost don't know what to dream if we can't see an example of it, at least for me anyways. And so for me, that was a big part of what worked, is seeing this example of a female engineer at my school talking about her education and her career. And from there, I dared to dream, and then I dared to follow that path. So for me, that was pivotal, to have that awareness and to see that example.
Thank you, Fanny. How about you, Tamika?
Yes, well, Fanny really summed up everyone's answer, in my opinion. That was a good response. For me, because again, I'm not in the world of STEM, but as a nonprofit leader, having to readjust how we operate, because so much about the work that I do is based on relationships. And so it's the face-to-face touches that solidify relationships, but given that we're remote, we're just not really able to do that. And so one of the things that I think that women can be better supported is, having those mentorships and having the opportunities to live in this space. And it's the same thing I would say about the nonprofit world. A lot of people just want the opportunity to prove themselves. And I think as women and young girls, we're still having to really prove ourselves, prove our worth in spaces that have been predominantly led and ran by men. But I think we are, breaking some of those glass ceilings. And so for me, I think that just seeing the representation in the spaces where I am in the STEM environment will continue to help young women and young girls believe that they can truly accomplish a career in this profession and be in that space, because if she can do it, they can do it. And I just feel like being a woman, part of our DNA is supporting and encouraging and nurturing one another. And I think if we continue to do more of that, that we can help create belief in dreams, because it would be a shame if we didn't help people achieve their dreams and their aspirations from a career perspective just because they're a woman or a young girl.
That's so true. Biba, we spoke about it. We have spoken about it a couple of times. I would like you to give a couple of bullet points that would help these women on,
Yeah,
quick steps.
I was going to say, I was going to say more to, instead of, well, because I think Fanny and Tameka talked about kind of what worked with them, but I wanted to provide a more tactical perspective on the hiring side, kind of the gaps that I am noticing and the areas in STEM that I do think they're not being well equipped or supported on. So maybe another quiz for everyone. So in the past 4 years of me being in this role of hiring sales engineers, I think I've hired close to a dozen new hires. And every time I post a rec, by the way, not a single one of them has been a girl. So that's problem one. And this is when I am pretty aware, and then I do make an intentional effort to cast a wider net. But then every time I post a rec, there are about 60 applicants. Does anybody want to guess how many girls apply out of those 60? Don't use my previous percentage, man. Yeah, Veronica, you're pretty close. It's 2 to 3. So my chance of hiring is 1:30 to begin with. But then to be very honest, the ones that do apply are also not the most impressive of resumes or enthusiasm or confidence when I do end up talking to them. Not everyone is awesome as Addison and Kayla. I wish that was the case. But then I started talking to, I was like, the classic 5 whys. Why is that? So then I started interviewing some of them through, some of the university relations that we had. We went to a bunch of universities, and I talked to each of the girls, and when I see the resume, I think the challenge is really twofold. The first one is actually very simple. And I can compare like country to country, because where I grew up in India, I started doing programming in middle school and high school. But here, when I talked to some of the girls, they didn't start until college, whereas the boys had started much earlier. So that's one for me, it was almost like physics or history, right? It seems complex in the beginning, but then over time you secretly start liking it, and you can then wing it in no time. So programming is just as simple, I think, as long as you start early. So that's one very specific tactical advice, because I really think it's a make or break in many engineering functions these days. And the second one is more philosophical. It's kind of like the half full classic theory, which I think applies to women too. As much as we appear to be strong and optimistic in everything in life, but when it comes to our career ambitions, not so much. The fact that I've only 1 or 2 out of 60 applying is a problem. I think that's very commonly known, right? If you have 10 job criteria and a man fits only 5 out of those, he'll be on top of the world and apply. Whereas a woman will feel like she's not meeting all 10 of them and will not apply. So I really want to this is more intrinsic. So I wanted to kind of present both the points here. I really want women at all the levels, whether they're entering STEM fields or already in it, to just stop second guessing yourself, up your application game, up your resume game, and then also build your technical expertise. So I think those are some of the ways they can support themselves and be successful.
That's so tactical and easy to follow. Now, you guys have been there, done that, but I would like to hear from Keela on this, because she's going through that process, and I'm sure she has some very practical challenges that she's facing or would like to share with the rest of us. So Keela, I would like you to go next.
Yes. Yeah, I actually wanted to touch on a little bit of what Tameka was talking about earlier about women having to prove themselves. I have experienced this a lot during my past 4 years in college, and even now as I'm still in college, I've had experiences in classes where my ideas and my perspectives are not getting considered, or like I'm not getting called on when I raise my hand, or when we're doing group work. I'm contributing and I'm giving these ideas, but I notice that they're not listening, or they try to shoot it down immediately once I say it. And then what's even worse is when we get the answer back, my idea was right, or my answer to the question was right. And so I feel like there's just this like preconceived judgment that what I'm saying is wrong just because I'm a woman. And it's not until I prove myself and show them that I know what I'm talking about that they're like, oh, okay, yeah, like let's listen to Kayla. I have like a really good example back at my previous school before coming to Wash U. I was in this class, it was physics 2, and there was a bunch of guys. I think I was definitely the only Black woman. There was probably maybe about like 5 girls in the class. And same thing I was saying earlier, my ideas, my answers, they weren't getting considered by these guys. And later on, once they started seeing that I was correct, they added me on Instagram and they started asking, hey, what did you get for this question on the homework? Or, you want to study for the quiz together? And it's like, well, how come you guys didn't ask that in the beginning? Why did I have to show you that I get good grades in order for you to believe me and actually think that my ideas are right? And so I think that this is really important because oftentimes like women like me, they get discouraged by that and they decide they don't want to do a STEM major. And I think that's just really unfortunate because this is what we need, more women in STEM. And just like feeling like that is just not something that we should be feeling. And so I also think that the way that this can be fixed is by having more professors and more TAs in STEM who are women. This is not a coincidence. I've thought about this. All of the classes that I loved and had a great impact on me and that I learned the most from were taught by women professors, and it wasn't that many. And so, and they were my highest grades. So I just think that's really important because having your boss or your manager or your professor who you can identify with just automatically leaves an impression on you, and it forces you to do better. And so, yeah, that's just a little bit about my experience in STEM so far.
Thank you, Keela. Yeah, so for the young women who are listening, she's the closest to, what you'll be experiencing soon. So listen carefully. Meanwhile, we'll have to again take a quick break. And I would like to introduce Anne Morano. She is our college-bound advisor at Irma Lerma Rangel Young Women's Leadership School in Dallas, and also Melissa Rodriguez. She's a 2015 graduate from Irma Lerma Rangel in Dallas and a 2019 graduate from Iowa State University of civil engineering. I'm a civil engineer too, so it's a coincidence. And she's currently working at WSP Global. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you, Shanti, and thank you to Women Leading Technology for partnering with Young Women's Preparatory Network for this event. I am delighted to be here and also very inspired by what you've shared so far. We are in very good hands with you at the helm of all the projects and work that you are doing. So my name is Anne Morano, and I'm the college-bound advisor at the Irma Rangel Young Women's Leadership School, and I have been at our school since 2009. I'm the second college-bound advisor there. And through a public-private partnership that each one of our network schools has with the public school district through the MOU, there's an understanding that there is a full-time college-bound advisor on every campus, and I'm thrilled to be that person for Rangel. I've spent 31 years in higher education and in the middle of my 12th year now at Rangel. The whole point of the college-bound program is to introduce students and families to the opportunities all around higher education, to their options. And as you heard before, we are working very proudly with a population that essentially is majority underrepresented in college, on college campuses. Most of our students are from limited income backgrounds, and most of them are first generation college bound. And so having a dedicated person to work with them from start to finish, I think makes all the difference. And we find that our students tend to matriculate to institutions that are different than the ones most of us are familiar with because they get introduced to options. And so I conduct grade level programming starting in the 6th grade, and until you have worked with middle schoolers on financial aid, you have not lived, all the way through senior year, helping each student identify and apply to a unique set of schools that make the most sense for her and her family. And so I'm really thrilled to be here with one of our graduates, Melissa Rodriguez, from the class of 2015, who, as you heard, went on to get her civil engineering degree from Iowa State University. So thank you for being here, Melissa. I don't know.
Thank you for inviting me.
I was really excited to have the opportunity to visit Melissa on campus and to continue to put her in touch with current students. She's a fantastic mentor for us even now. And so, Melissa, I'd love to ask you this question, give you a chance to chime in on what difference, or how did you imagine, or how did you know that working with a college-bound advisor would impact, or how did that impact? Let me start over. I'm just so excited. How did you find that working with a college-bound advisor, knowing that you were going to have that opportunity, how did that impact your college admission and financial aid process?
Hi, everyone. I had the unique experience of having an older sister who went through the college application process before me. So I kind of had an idea of what to expect. But once senior year rolled around, it was completely different. Whereas she had one counselor for every 100 students, we had a dedicated college-bound advisor for us. And that, I feel like, made all the difference, because Ms. Morano, you had the time to dedicate to each of us individually. And that's ultimately how I found Iowa State, because going into senior year, I'd only really heard of Texas schools, figured I'd be going to a local one. But with the meetings that you set up throughout the year, just have different schools, different colleges come visit the school. I got to hear from a large range of different colleges. And I feel like that's what ultimately drew me to apply to Iowa State. And then you don't stop there. You just kept going and kept us in touch with the admissions people from our colleges. And I feel like that's what ultimately drew me to commit to going to Iowa State. I felt that you provide a kind of a calmness of the process, which can be very hectic at sometimes. But having a college-bound advisor definitely made the process a lot simpler and kind of provided that guidance that I feel like seniors really appreciate.
Thank you. Yeah, from start to finish. I mean, we offer a comprehensive programming, so right, very individualized one-on-one assistance with figuring out what schools are going to make the most sense for you, directing you to scholarships. Definitely with the sisterhood, you all show up for each other and mentor each other that way. And then getting you to the campus that makes the most sense for you so that you can graduate on time and then into the field of your choice. And so, yeah, it's a pretty spectacular thing. And the last thing I will say, other than thank you again for the opportunity to be here tonight and for your continued support, Women Leading Technology and Young Women's Prep, and thanks, Melissa, for joining me, is that I am one of 2 full-time college counselors in Dallas ISD. And Melissa mentioned the counseling ratios in our district are about 1 to 500. So imagine that. All I do is college. That's what I get to do 24/7. And it makes a difference. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Anne, and thank you, Melissa. Let's go back to the panelists. We are running short of time. So let me go to the next question. It's about mentorship and sponsorship. And I would like Veronica to come on first and then Ali to follow. The question is primarily to share your experience on how mentorship or sponsorships are different according to you, and share some of the experiences from your life, maybe 1 or 2 examples that you have gone through, and how does it help in retention when we look at women in STEM?
Thank you. I think that's a very key, important question. And a sponsor, to me, is a little bit different than a mentor. If you think about a mentor, is somebody that will give you some advice, that probably will have certain sessions together with you to improve and give you feedback and help you out, which is necessary, and it is very rewarding, also a relationship between a mentor and a mentee. And even from that, it stems additional opportunities in some cases, right? Because this person gets to know about you even more. And then with this person in mind, they might suggest that you might take a different path or recommend you to somebody else. So that's somebody that as a mentor, they can help you with a particular subject or objective for you to get better at. A sponsor though, that one is a little bit more of taking you under their wing and making that connection where they believe that they want to really help you with whoever you want to become. And so the sponsor puts and invests time in helping you develop to the next stage. I've been very, very fortunate to have a magnificent sponsor in my life that he actually helped me not only improve and be better, but he took me with him as he was moving across his different areas and different opportunities of career himself. And not only that, he invited me over to experience in the professional manner how I could become a leader of an organization when I was not a leader at that time. And so knowing that I was going to have now a large organization or that in the future I was capable of doing that, he invited me over and he said, Veronica, what I'm going to do is, because I have those opportunities and because I'm having those large meetings and because I'm organizing that, I want you to be part of the team that is coming along with me, so you learn firsthand how to organize these meetings and how to address people in larger stages. How do you manage organizations with different levels of management and so forth? And so he took it upon himself to really help me develop those skill sets. So to me, that sponsorship, it's invaluable. And because I received that, now I believe that I want to be a sponsor also for somebody else. And so that's how I treat my organization. I want to be the sponsor for everybody. And I want to provide the opportunities to everybody. And I want to be their coach and mentor in the organization so I can help them realize their dreams.
How about you, Ali?
Well, I love all those things that you've said, Veronica, and I think it's important to understand the difference in investment. And I think it's important to look at ourselves in how we invest in the organizations that we work in as well. And so I guess I'm going to approach this from a different perspective. What does sponsorship and mentorship feel like when you're the person being sponsored and mentored? And I remember when I was first starting my career, and I'm a new systems person, and I did integrated systems that were actually blown into aircraft chips. Okay. And I had a boss that, to be honest, I kind of thought he didn't like me. It didn't matter what I gave him. It always came back with revisions, all kinds of details. I just felt like he was really hard on me. And I just kept working and working and working. I was like, I'm not going to give him the excuse to give me something back anymore. And I just remember how hard I was working and how I was constantly thinking, what's Joe going to think of this? What have I not asked myself that Joe's going to ask when I hand in this piece of work? And it really did change how I was doing work. Now, he was also my boss, and he was also my sponsor. What I didn't know is that he bragged about me in every staff meeting, that I could do anything, and he made sure those projects ended up on my plate. He also made sure I had a mentor. I had a gentleman named Peter who really, old white guy who had been in the department for 25 years, who would insist on sitting next to me in lunch and showing me stuff. He would come by my desk and he would just show me stuff and ask me questions. And the reason I want to kind of bring this up is I think we live in an interesting environment right now, is that we have a lot of different rhetoric going on. in our environment. And I think if I was having that experience today, I might think he doesn't like me because I'm a woman. He doesn't like me because I'm a Black woman. I'm being treated unfairly, you know? And the reality is my boss knew that every bad habit an engineer has, they usually develop in the first year and a half of being an engineer. And he was working very hard to make sure I didn't do that and that I had some help navigating that. But I really could have misunderstood that situation, and I'm glad that I didn't. You know what? And I'm glad that I was open to this man, Peter, who just always wanted to show me stuff. And I always thought, I'm not sure why you want to show me stuff, but oh, it is kind of cool, you know? So I think we have to look around. There are mentors and sponsors all the time, and just, they don't always wear signs. They don't always wear signs.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Ali. They don't always wear signs. My take on it is that a mentorship is someone that you have more of a personal connection with. It's a person that gives you advice, whereas a sponsorship is someone who advocates for you and where your actions can have a direct impact on the way that they're perceived because of their advocating for you. For me specifically, I didn't have a woman who was a mentor for me until I got to WashU and became a part of the Women in Leadership technology. And that group is really great because my mentor has been amazing. She has given me advice on how to not make the same mistakes that she made. She's been giving me advice on how to not feel down or discouraged whenever I'm going through these hard classes and just like feeling really down in college. And she serves as a representation of what I can become when I graduate and start my career. And then I would say for my sponsorship was someone I met a year ago who works at a really big medical devices company. And she went out on a limb for me and advocated for me, and essentially was one of the main reasons why I was able to get an internship at this company, because of her status within the company. They knew that if she saw potential in me, then I would provide value to the company. And so I would say that mentor and sponsorship are both really important, but they are slightly different because I've found different ways of how I can relate to one another and how it's really just helped me throughout my career and how it will continue to help me.
What a great insight from all three of you. I lose track of time when I'm just listening to you guys, and I have to remind myself that I'm moderating. So coming back again, a quick break, and this time I would like to introduce Whitney Lewis. She's a board member of YWPN, and Mamba Juliet Mutale. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right. She's a 2016 graduate of Irma Lerma Rangel Young Women's Leadership School in Dallas, and she's a graduate from USC with bachelor's degree in communications and entertainment industry. Let me state here that I'm really amazed by the quality of kids that are coming here and their achievements. So I need to make time to know this organization myself better. So Whitney, I'll let you take over, or Mamba, who one of you take over from here.
Thanks, Shanti. Thanks so much for that. And thank you all for just allowing us to get to hear this wonderful conversation, and also for YWPN to get to showcase some of the work that we're doing. As Shanti said, my name is Whitney Lewis. I serve on the board of the Young Women's Preparatory Network, and I also participate in the senior mentorship program at Rangel. And as a lawyer in the asset management industry on a day-to-day basis, I see that there's so few women, especially women of color, that have seats at the table across many fields. And what initially drew me to YWPN was this intentional approach to create opportunities for talented young women. And so as an organization, they recognize that we need to empower individuals, the students at the student level, but also that there are systemic barriers to equity that our students are facing, and we have to tackle those as well. The mentorship program has been just a real light for me over the past few years. Selfishly, it's truly enjoyable and encouraging to get to spend time with students like the ones you've already heard from tonight, that are just engaged and ambitious, and they're at such a pivotal moment in their lives. Students actually sign up to participate in the mentorship program, And that means that they're actively looking for advice, for support, for camaraderie, to be able to see someone that looks like them doing the things that they want to do. It's been really an honor to get to be a small part of these students' journeys, and I would highly encourage anyone local to consider participating in the mentorship program. It's a simple and effective way to really impact students, but also to help diversify our professions. In a normal year, in the mentorship program, the mentors actually get to spend time on campus, about an hour every few weeks, talking with the students. And that's talking about the college application process, senior year experience, the college experience, anything that the students want to talk about. My current mentee and I spend a good bit of time talking about some of the shows that we're currently binge watching on Netflix and just having regular conversation. Even though that we've been virtual this year, I think the relationship has been just as impactful. A lot of our students are processing everything that's happening in the world. They're also still entering what's a really big new phase of life in a completely unprecedented time. And so having that support is really meaningful. And it's something that YWPN seeks to provide their students. The students that are in the program right now, they exhibit just such a level of grit, of perseverance, of courageousness, of positivity. It's really all the things that make the network wonderful. And one of my mentees during a prior year, Mwamba, embodies all of these characteristics and more. Just like these other students, she is emblematic of the type of student, the caliber of student that you would find at Rangel or any school in the network, as well as showing trajectories that can be unlocked when we give these students the education and the resources that they deserve. So I'll turn it over to her to share just a little bit about her YWPN experience as well as what she's up to now.
Okay, thank you so much, Whitney, for that introduction. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much to YWPN for today. Like everyone's been saying, everyone's comments have just been so inspiring, and I'm really grateful that I can say that, you know, that cultivated my entire experience and put me on the path that I'm on now. So again, my name is Mwamba. I spent 7 years at Irma Rangel from 6th through 12th grade, and I graduated in 2016. And without going there, I honestly know that I wouldn't be where I am today. The cultivation of college prep, dual credit courses. I know Ms. Ferguson and Addison touched on that a little bit earlier, but that environment truly fostered you know, that kind of work ethic and time management that I really needed to then go to college. So I just graduated from the University of Southern California with my bachelor's in communication and entertainment industry. And just like Whitney said, the mentoring program was such an important part of that. It was such a crucial portion of my high school experience, especially my senior year. So when I was applying to colleges, it was amazing to have someone like Whitney to talk to, someone who was already in the professional world, someone that I could talk to even just about whatever music we were listening to that week. All of that was really helpful for me. And just because I just spent the last few months in Dallas, I just moved back to LA and I'm about to work for a small production company. I just know that I would have never been able to do any of that without the programming and just the support of YWPN. So thank you so much for all of that.
Shanti, we'll turn it back to you. Thanks so much again for supporting YWPN.
Thank you, Whitney. Thank you, Mwamba. We are going to the last question for today. And I would like all the panelists to be on again. So the question is, as we consider the evolution of servant leadership in diversity, inclusion, and equity, how do we think of new ways to elevate our level of service? How can we do a better job of putting our words into action? Quick action points, bullet points would be great for audience to take back. So how do we challenge ourselves and others, each other, to becoming more active and tactical? So what I'm looking for is specifically, what does it look for you and how would you address it?
I'll start off by saying that I think there are two main things that should be done to specifically address this and make a better workplace, make a better environment for women in STEM. And I would say the first thing is being there for each other. That is just as easy as it is. If we're all in a meeting and we're observing that women aren't having a voice, then we need to speak up and we need to call it out. That means calling out sexism, calling out unfair actions or disrespect that's happening in the workplace, and making it to where the environment of discriminating women is frowned upon, not ignored. And so I'd say that that's really important because, as we were saying earlier, women having to prove themselves has become a norm. And I believe that breaking that down is the very first step. And that starts with us speaking up and being there for each other, as well as challenging our male counterparts. I think this is really important because I've observed that men don't like it when you challenge them. And so it catches them off guard. So being assertive and just owning up to what your knowledge is, your education, and just speaking up, I think that's really important. And the last thing I think is important is just doing what we're doing now, having transparent, open, honest conversations about women in STEM and like stuff that we've experienced, so that we all understand that we're not alone and that we all experience the same things. And that's why it's more important to be there for each other, because sometimes it can feel like all the weight is being put onto your shoulders. But if everyone's helping each other carry that weight, then it becomes lighter. So I think those are just like the main things that we can do to level up.
Oh gosh, I was gonna say, Kayla, I wish I was as wise as you already are when I was your age, but just wanted to add, and that was, by the way, this is kind of like my favorite part about this panel is that its call to action is very tactical, action oriented. So from my point of view, and personally, professionally, in order for us to convert our words into actions, I'm committed to two things. One, as a hiring manager, I think I'm committed to being a pain in the ass for a talent acquisition recruitment team to go cast a wider net. Because I think oftentimes, because we have a timeline and we tend to be lazy, but then I think now that I'm aware of the gaps and how best to capture and provide equal opportunity to diverse groups, I'm constantly behind them to go post RX in different groups. And I'm personally in touch with many of them, whether it's Society of Women Engineers, Women in Cybersecurity, different other minority groups and whatnot. And obviously being over careful and still selecting the most meritorious students, because we won't have it any other way. And then, and then personally, I think we mentioned that in the beginning, right? I think Fanny mentioned that if you can dream one, I feel like we haven't adequately inspired yet some of our, the next generation, because look at what's happened in the government. If I may take a moment to draw the analogy there, right? It took us kind of 100 years, starting from 19th Amendment to when the equality of vote happened, to now somebody actually a woman in power. So we don't have 100 years. So what can we do personally? But we do have in our personal capacities close to 100 hours a week of awake time. And I think in those, if we take out, I personally take out 1 to 2 hours every week and talking to, students of middle school and high school and colleges through my friends, family, colleagues, really lots of FaceTime every weekend, where I really not only I do mock interviews with them, I critique the resumes, and then I also really tell them some of the simple nuances to really start applying and connecting them to other corporates. So I think if each and every one of us, like there was a campaign once, each one teach one, if we did have each one mentor one, that may go a long way too.
Very nice. Very nice. I think I'm next, actually. Hey, so one of the things that I think is really important and has made a big difference for me is, every time I'm at a table and we're making decisions, look around and think who's there with us, right, and who's missing. More importantly, who's not there. And I've made that actually a daily practice, no matter what table I'm sitting at, right? Because realizes that our careers and our organizations, it's an entire pipeline. So it's not just paying attention to it at the top, but it's paying attention to it near the top, and middle management and independent contributors, or those first level managers who are going from, that position where they get rewarded for what they do personally to they've got to find a way to get rewarded for people they manage and what they do. Really important transitions. So I'm always asking myself, who's here? Who's here? Who's shaping the discussions we're having? And the other thing that sounds so odd is I've really tried to cultivate a higher tolerance for disagreement and difficult people. Because here's what I know, when you want great products, you want people who will challenge design to the floor. That doesn't make sense to me. Explain it again. You know what? You want people who will have those tough conversations, who aren't really worried about how they're perceived, right? So again, I think one of the things that we need to do as leaders is keep cultivating more comfort with discomfort, and know that gets us better environments, it gets us better organizational cultures, and it gets us better products. So that's what I keep challenging myself to do.
I think both what everyone has said has been great, but I think for me, the way that I challenge myself is that even though I'm in this leadership role, which comes with a lot of responsibility, that I continue to make myself available for others who are entering this space or who are trying to grow within the profession, to mentor them and share experience with them, share how to solve problems or achieve successes just based on my own experiences, kind of preparing them for where the traps are, if you will. I think, though, something that's been said by multiple people is we have to convince ourselves and not be afraid to have a voice. Having a voice and using our voice is two different things. And so many times we have been afraid in workplaces or work environments to use our voice because we fear the consequences that may result from us speaking up and saying something. But I think we have to stand very firm in what we believe and what we know to be true in spaces that aren't honoring diversity, inclusion, and equity for us and for other people who look like us. And so I think I will continue to challenge myself in the space, in the role that I'm in, with using my voice and speaking up, because if we don't, who will?
Thank you, Tamika. So in my case, I'm going to give you a perspective of a mother and a wife. So my son, he grew up knowing that his mother was an overachiever and that she wanted to pursue a professional career, and that it was important not only to be his mom, but also who she was in the workforce. And so he learned that. And he also learned that it was very important through his dad to share respect and to provide opportunities to women. And he is a cheerleader of all his classmates that are women, and that they have a voice, and that in the teams that he is at, that he ensures that everybody contributes, that he is inviting them to the conversation. If somebody says something negative about a woman, he will just call them out because he doesn't feel that that is correct. And for my husband, he is a champion of women in technology in his organization. And he is focused and dedicated to find leaders that are women for his organization, because he has found that he has gaps. So all that is very significant, because the influence that you have, it's beyond only the workforce, right? It all also it starts with the nucleus in the families, in the conversations that you have with the friends, and whoever you can have in front of you that you can talk to. So it's important to share.
Thank you, Veronica. I want to get very tactical, actually. I think each one of you have highlighted the importance of having a voice. And one of the things that we all have also is a phone, and we also have social media accounts, and we have a record button and a snapshot button on our phone. And so I challenge everyone on the panelists, all our attendees. Social media platforms, while they have negative connotations, they're also a even playing field for all of us to share everything that we shared tonight on a platform that can reach people that are outside of our cities, outside of our states, outside of our countries. And everything you've said tonight is so important, and more people need to know about it outside of our organizations even. So I think to get really tactical is to, for those of you that are still students, share on your accounts, whether it's Instagram or Snapchat, whatever the platform is for students these days. Share about the courses you're learning, share about the programs, share about interesting projects that you're working on so that your peers and your friends can see examples of what's possible. And then we in the workforce, in corporations, entrepreneurs, share the unique projects, share the technology trends, share the exciting things that are happening at your organization, feature other women, interview other women in technology on video, and get all that out there, right? We don't have to ask for permission to record something and post something on our accounts. And so my challenge to all of us, and myself included, I still strive to do that, is to share everything we shared tonight on even bigger platforms outside of this event even, and continue to share all those messages of hope and be a shining example.
Perfect. What a great discussion. I have taken one line from each of you. Just from this question, I liked when Kayla said, speak up, challenge yourself and others. What a great, I mean, coming from a 20s, I don't even know what your age is, but you're too young. And these are wise words coming from a young women. And I'm so proud that you were part of this panel. Viva, my takeaway is cast a wider net, and each one, please mentor at least one more person and bring them forward. Thank you for that. Ali, uh, I agree with you. People don't like conflict, but conflict and challenging position is not bad always. It's actually good. It brings us, makes us aware of different perspectives, and which leads to better results. So thank you for that. Tamikia, my takeaway from you is stand firm on what you believe in. We shouldn't give away our position just because others are, opposing it. If you believe in it, stand up. And you are the only one who can stand up for what you believe in. Veronica, I could imagine you being a role model and your little one going around and your husband being a champion. Great way. And it starts at home. So I'm so happy you are doing that at home. And Fanny, I've heard you say this multiple times. Social media is so powerful. I'm so thankful that you highlighted it again. Use it to showcase what you're doing. Educate others on what you're doing and what's happening around you. That is, utilize this tool appropriately. So great panel, ladies. Thank you all for taking time. I have just one question, and I would like Ali to answer this question before we wind it up. Ali, the question is from John Harkins, and it's what strategies are most effective in closing the participation gap of female students in STEM programming, degrees, and careers? So I would like you to answer this as quickly as possible, and then I would like to
Okay.
hand it back.
Okay. So I love that you said students because that helps us get some immediate focus. So I think one of the things is we've got to start the pipeline early. So we said there's a clear differential from when boys start programming and looking at math and science and when girls typically do. So we've got to level that up. Right. And I think one of the ways that we do that is we stop pretending that anyone who's going to be good in a STEM field has to have a love affair with math and science, as soon as they start at their starting school. That's how it works. We really need to go back to creating student assignments that are allowing them to use science, technology, engineering, and mathematical concepts to describe the world that they live in, because that is what these fields do. They're describing our world, and they have to start getting involved and liking the tools that way. So I think that's one of the key things that we need to do. And I think there's creating more diversity in project assignments. You have that one spot when you kind of are a student where you go from doing interesting assignments to school's really hard. And it's all about just, learning the concept, being able to deliver the concept, being able to reiterate the concept, right? So we still have to bring more context, I think, and I think that's very effective. So I don't know if that's the most effective strategy, but we know that it cultivates a lot more interest and changes the numbers for young women early on.
True. Thank you so much, Ali. That's really good. We have been trying different things. So make it, math and science are not the only ones which get you there. So thank you for that perspective. I hope that answers your question, John. I'm turning back the microphone to Kelly and Lynn, and I'll let the ladies take over from here. Thank you, panelists. Thank you for this evening and wonderful discussion. Kelly, you're muted.
I do apologize. Thank you guys so much for being in attendance at this event. I thought it was wonderful. It gave us great insight. The panelists are absolutely phenomenal. I hope that you had some great takeaways from each and every last one of them, because we do have to change the trajectory of how we're doing things in the workplace. We have to be more diverse, and we have to bring more women to the table, and more women of different ethnicities and everything to the table. So we have to be very conscious of that. And we want to make sure that we are bringing them into the STEM and STEAM opportunities. And I mean, the panelists, basically, they were amazing. And they gave you some great tools that you can use in, not now, but in the future. So Lynn, take it away.
Yeah, this was quite an inspiring night. It was wonderful. And I want to say, on behalf of all of us at YWPN, we are very appreciative to have been able to participate. It was really fun to be able to share our amazing graduates with the audience. And I think that you can tell that the education and things that we're doing at YWPN are going on and changing their lives. I mean, they are so articulate and so strong and so powerful and resilient, and they're going to change the world, especially in the STEM field. And so it was fun to sit back and listen to them, and it makes us all so proud. And I have to tell you, this work continues because of generous support from donors. And so we would be very grateful and honored for anyone to help support Young Women's Preparatory Network, become a mentor, open an internship opportunity for one of our young women. I mean, you will not be let down. You'll want to hire them the minute they come to work for you. So it's been a really inspiring night, and I am really, really pleased with everything, and want to just say thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynn. And once again, we are so excited about our partnership with you guys, and we want to do everything we can to make sure that we are supporting the school, supporting their students. So everyone, please make sure that you donate. If you did not, this will be a replay, so you will have an opportunity to still donate throughout the year. It's not just for today, but it's just for the lifetime of their school. So make sure that you are often reaching out to them, reach out to their students, see how you can help them. Let's all make a difference together and make this a success for these young ladies. You will have some links that you can click on to donate. Those will be provided for you. And they're also their website. You can also go on their website and you can read about the school, learn more about them, and see how you can get involved so we can help these young ladies to pivot forward. So let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make a difference. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all. Shanti?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, stop the video. Okay. Okay.